3 zeros. Thank you, game.
What was I gonna say?
Your train of thought, dude, not mine.
See, my train of thought was still talking about Futurama a minute ago, and now, oh yeah, like, I remember now with Persona, the animation there, like, yeah, I had to use a VPN in order to watch that, and, like, it worked out fine, but, like, from what I looked up, Persona 4 the Golden animation's more like a... almost like a continuation / like, new sequel of, like, the original show, I guess, because, like, Golden added a few more, like, characters and plot points and stuff like that. Like, the actual game, anyway, so, like,
oh, okay.
The animation was, like, I guess,
similar-ish.
Adding those plot points, but, like, I looked it up, and apparently Persona 4 the Golden animation had, like, kind of crappy reviews, but I think it's because you have to take it, I guess, more as, like, an alternate, like, sequel or, like, a continuation rather than as, like, its own separate show.
Oh. There you go. That makes more sense.
That's just what I've gathered, anyway.
Yeah, no, and I mean, that makes sense, like... I mean, sometimes shows are weird like that, too, though.
Yeah.
Because, like, I think Supernatural has something like that, where they have an anime version, which I have watched, because it's only... one season, I think, 22 episodes. But it's just, like, it completely does its own storyline versus adding stuff. Like, it's the same characters from the original one, but it just completely takes, like, it's almost like it's its own adaptation. It's so weird. It's, like, completely disconnected. It's really weird.
Well, I mean, it sounds...
And, like, it's one of those things where, like, it has such a broad concept that that's fine and it's not an issue. It's just essentially weird because the version I'm used to watching has, like, different actors than the voice actors that they use for the English dub. Except for, like, out of nowhere, the main 2 actors appear in the last 2 episodes to voice those characters for some reason. With no logical explanation.
Do you think it might have been, like, a contract dispute or something, or...?
No, they're just, as far as I'm aware, they're just suddenly there. Like, there's no contract dispute, anything. Like, it's just all of a sudden they're just there narrating those characters, and then they're gone and back to the other version. Like, it's so freaking weird. Like, there's probably some kind of reason for it, but nothing that I've seen that makes any form of sense.
Okay, well, that was a fast one.
It's just one of those things, it's like, yeah, this is just gonna happen, and we're gonna have no explanation for this, and you're just gonna have to be cool with it.
I remember the days of bottle cap openers.
Never used one of those in my life, but, you know.
I remember the days when Pepsi came in a glass bottle.
I mean, I remember that, just...
I remember the days that used to piss my dad off all the time, because he'd come home with a case, and it'd be gone, like, a couple days later if he didn't stop me.
Well, that was back when,
That was back when I drank pop.
Well, no, that was back when... Oh, what's the gas station on the way to New Brunswick? There was, like, one spot where that was the only place you could buy the canned pop at the time, and then the rest of it was, like, glass bottles.
I don't remember, honestly, and we've had canned pop for, like, 15 years now, so I really don't remember.
I would know, like, I don't know the place by name, but, like, if we drove past
like
it, I'd be able to point it out.
Like, still on the island, like, Borden gas station, or...?
I don't remember if it's on this side or on theirs. I think it's the other way around. I think it's on their side and not here.
Okay, probably.
But, like, I'd be able to point it out if I drove past it, but I don't know the place by name. Because you can also get fireworks and crap there.
Oh, I know exactly which one. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's in their spot there anyway.
Yeah, like, I'd know it by, like, if I drove past it, but by name, no.
No, I know exactly which place you're talking about now, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be able to name it by name if you paid me, but if we drove past it, I'd be like, oh, yeah, this place.
Now. Yeah. Oh, shoot. I'm making a lot of stupid mistakes.
I've also learned that our puppy has, like, the weirdest yawn noise that almost sounds like straight out of, like, an Animal Crossing thing. Like, it's the weirdest friggin' noise. It's like this weird high-pitched yawn that sounds, like, straight out of, like, an Animal Crossing sound effect. It's, like, the weirdest thing. That's done. That's done. And I know this is Australia.
Yeah. Okay, Mac, be careful. If we screw up one more time, I think it's it. There we go.
I was gonna say, I think we're only missing one anyway.
Come from London.
I mean, not the first thing I think of when I think of Australia, but, you know.
What, I mean, it is the land down under.
Well, I know, that's just, that song is not the first thing I think of.
Alright, well, here's what I think. Here's what I would think of again. Back in black! Hit the sack!
Again, forget AC/DC's Australian. My first thing is more like literal Australia. Like, my brain typically goes more like, Sydney Opera House, or like Great Barrier Reef, or Steve Irwin, something like that, versus like
what about
AC/DC. Again, things I forget about. That. Again, things I don't typically go for. That. Or my other go-to is like super deadly animals that typically live in Australia.
I love how I just named off, like, several bands you forgot that were Australian.
Welcome to how my brain functions. My brain's typically like, oh, I don't know any Australian bands. And then you sit and go through them, and then I'm like, oh, yeah, no, yes, I do. I just forget they're Australian.
I thought there was one more that I thought was Australian as well, but I don't remember what it is now. And there's a lot of bands that you just wouldn't even think of being in, like, certain nationalities, though, like...
I'm also just terrible at remembering what band's from where.
Like, AC/DC, I can remember being Australian, but, like, the Bee Gees, to me, like,
Yeah, that's one of them that I kinda... yeah. But, I mean, to be fair, I barely remember what bands are from where typically. Like, yeah, I'd know their music, and I'd know of the band, but, like, as for what nationality, nah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the same thing with me listing band members. It doesn't go well. Oh, that row's done. I was like, why does that look weird?
There we go. Another thing most people won't know today.
Oh yeah, sewing machine. I only know
Oh yeah, actually,
because-
never mind. That wasn't actually what I thought it was, but
Yeah,
yeah.
what did you think it was?
I thought that was a rotary phone for a second.
Okay, also fair. The other is that, because...
Well, sewing
Mom
machines
used to
people
have a
would probably
sewing-
still know what
Well,
those
that's-
are today.
Yeah, depends on the person. Because there's not really that many fabric stores and that type of stuff anymore.
Well, they still
at
teach
least
sewing
not
in
here.
schools, though, don't they?
Yeah, it's not typically those sewing machines, though. It's typically, like,
The
more
electronic
electronics,
ones.
like, more of the type of ones that we would have had in home ec type deal.
Yeah, well, I remember us having a mix of both of those in home ec.
Yeah, no, I mean more the electronic ones. I would think.
guess.
Because the ones that I'm used to are like, Mom used to have one that was like one of those pedal sewing machines that she used to get pissed at me all the time because I used to break it all the time as a kid.
Ah.
One of those suckers.
Mhm.
But then again, they were so easy to break. Especially that one because it was old as boot hell. It's like one they've had for like God knows how long.
Yeah.
Which, ironically, they still have, and it still works, just no one uses it.
That row's done. It's just an oddly simple puzzle to figure out, I think. That one's done.
I'm not really missing a lot, I don't think. Oh.
There we go. Potion. Blue potion.
Except for the fact where now it's not blue. Because science. For instance.
But yeah, no, I guess I'm still like half on that like Futurama thought, like, and I don't know why, but I just kind of am. Like again,
No,
I think it's literally just that, like, unlike most other shows, Futurama never really had a bad period, so.
Well, that's what I mean, and like it's one of those weird things where it doesn't need a reboot, but it's getting one anyway.
Well, it doesn't, but I mean, like, unlike, say, something like Simpsons or Family Guy, I could see why there'd be at least merit in rebooting that. Not that Simpsons and Family Guy are dead right now, but,
no,
like...
no, well, they'd have to be dead to have a reboot in the first place.
Exactly.
I just know that that's one of them where it's just like, there's other things that they could have rebooted and they went with that instead. Like, okay.
I guess that's just the thing. Futurama's, like, a good show, though.
That's what I mean, and I don't necessarily, like, disagree with the fact that a reboot would be a bad idea. It's just like, out of all the things that deserved, that probably, there's probably stuff that more so deserved a reboot than those, but that's my own personal opinion, too.
Yeah. I mean, not that it's the same type of show at all, but I mean, like, I've wanted a reboot of Right Back At Ya for, like, aeons now. But...
That's what I mean. There's probably stuff that, like, makes more sense to reboot. Because, like, the closest thing I could probably compare it to is, like, the weird decision they made with the Uncharted stuff.
Oh, well,
Or,
that's...
like...
Well, no, I'd say...
But, like, the PS5 version, they've done the two most recent ones. Whereas 1, 2, and 3 admittedly could have done much better with an updated version.
Yeah, that's true, too.
Like, that's the only thing where I'm kind of like, that's a little, like, not weird, but, like, it doesn't really make any sense, but okay.
Well, then again, they're also remaking The Last of Us, which does
It
not...
also doesn't need one.
No.
That's what I mean, though. It's more so happens with games. Well, I was gonna say games, but there's plenty of movies that also are like that, too. Where it's like a reboot
we
is not
missing
necessary,
something
but they're
here?
doing one anyway. Uh, um, oh.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Barely anything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I'd say the two biggest medias I'd say that are guilty for doing reboots of stuff that doesn't need reboots, and more so at the moment, is typically video games and movies.
Yeah.
Like, those are the two biggest. Like, TV shows typically aren't as bad. There's a few, they've gotten a little worse about it recently, but even then, it's not as bad as the other two, where
and you know what was a bad reboot?
These aren't necessary.
You know what was a bad reboot? Reboot.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing.
I don't know. I've only seen Reboot like a couple of times, but I heard like the Netflix reboot of that. I think it was on Netflix anyway. I heard that was like
God only knows.
I heard that was like straight up terrible.
That's what I mean. Like, there's a couple things where, like, admittedly, I haven't heard as many in terms of TV shows and stuff where there's reboots. Not even that there's reboots that are terrible, just reboots that are just unnecessary reboots.
Yeah.
But, like, I've heard it a lot more lately with video games and movies than anything else.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just because they make different decisions based on other things, but, like, rather than the properties, because that's really most of the TV shows are based on, because they don't have that. Yeah, a lot of them don't really have that, like, consumer aspect to them. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's ultimately, I think, why, like, a Futurama reboot, honestly, I would watch it, but I mean, like, the problem is that you really can't replace Bender's voice, though.
Well, that's what I mean. That's, like, one of those things that's gonna make it weird for people to watch it.
No,
like,
I think people are just gonna straight up not watch it, if you ask me.
Well, that's what I mean. Like,
that's a voice.
Straight up not watch it for that reason.
A lot of other characters you could probably, like
replace, and it wouldn't be as much of an issue.
Yes, but I don't know. I can't see them, like, John DiMaggio's voice as Bender, like, that's something you just can't really replace that much. Like, there's even a video.
Yeah, no, I don't mean,
there's even like a video of him
agree
reacting to like people trying to like. There's like a video of him reacting to people doing impressions of his characters, and like he even said that like nobody really came close to Bender because like I don't remember who it was, but he basically had like 3 like characters that were like kind of the inspiration for Bender that he kind of was like
pulled and mishmashed from.
Exactly. So that's why his voice is like so unique for the character.
Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, and I mean, I'd say that's the case with just certain actors with certain roles and things where they kind of make the role so much their own and they're so associated with it that it's like hard to replace them if a reboot happens or not. Like, and then I mean, because the other big example that I could think of that this is like definitely earlier than now, but that is Aladdin.
Congratulations.
And I'm not talking like Robin.
You're not talking Robin Williams versus Will Smith here?
No, because the new one actually isn't that terrible, and they separate it and do like their own version, and it's different for that reason. And it's not like trying to copy the other thing. The version I'm more talking about is the weird video to direct to video
Return of
sequel.
Jafar?
Yeah, that piece of garbage.
Yeah.